from Ukraine, Mr. President. Yesterday you were talking about how Vladimir Putin had agreed to a pause during the cold weather. Overnight those attacks have started up again.
I know. It was Sunday. It was Sunday to Sunday, and it opened up, and he hit him hard last night. No, he agreed. He kept his word on that. It's a lot. 1 week is, we'll take anything because it's really, really cold over there. But it was on Sunday, and he went from Sunday to Sunday.
Are you disappointed he didn't go further?
Yeah, I would like him to. I want him to end the war. I spoke to him. I want him to end the war.
Ukraine's forces mounted a coordinated attack on Russia's Bryansk region, combining HIMARS rocket salvos with long-range Neptune missiles and multiple fixed-wing drones to hit targets across the border area. Russia's defense ministry said its air defense units intercepted the incoming Neptune missiles and shot down 11 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles, portraying the raid as a fully repelled terrorist strike. On the 4th of February, Bryansk Governor Aleksandr Bogomaz confirmed that Ukrainian forces had attacked the region, reporting damage to homes and civilian infrastructure and noting that at least one local resident was injured in the strikes. Governor of Bryansk, Aleksandr Bogomaz said, Ukrainian terrorists have carried out another deliberate attack on residential areas and civilian facilities. The combined strike involved HIMARS rockets, fixed-wing jet-powered drones, and Neptune long-range missiles. The Russian Defense Ministry's air defenses destroyed the Neptune missiles and 11 unmanned aerial vehicles. Unfortunately, a female civilian suffered multiple injuries. She was taken to the hospital and received the necessary medical assistance. 20 private houses and 27 apartments in an apartment building were damaged. The windows of a hospital were shattered. Falling debris hit 3 civilian cars in the Bezitsky district of the city of Bryansk. The Ukrainian attack also destroyed a residential brick house in the village of Glinish-Chivo in the Bryansk district. On the 3rd of February, Ukrainian missiles struck a major infrastructure hub in Belgorod, inflicting severe damage on a vital engineering facility that Russian authorities rely on to keep the border city functioning. The bombardment badly disrupted Belgorod's energy grid, plunging parts of the city into darkness and forcing emergency crews to race through the night to patch lines, restore power, and stabilize heating systems amid winter conditions. Moscow's officials denounced the cross-border salvos as terrorist attacks on civilians, even though Ukrainian messaging has consistently framed these Belgorod strikes as precision efforts to degrade strategic energy sites feeding Russia's war machine. President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that in January alone Russia hurled more than 6,000 attack drones and roughly 5,500 guided aerial bombs at Ukraine, underscoring how relentlessly Moscow is trying to grind down the country's defenses and infrastructure. Defense analysts at Militani calculate that Russian aviation dropped about 26% more bombs in January than in December 2025. Signaling a sharp intensification of the air campaign as the Kremlin leans harder on glide bomb strikes. With 5,717 air-dropped bombs recorded over that month, Russia hit a new peak in munitions use, marking the highest single-month total since the full-scale invasion began and highlighting the scale of pressure on Ukraine's frontline cities and troops. As Russian and Ukrainian forces stepped up offensive operations, President Donald Trump publicly praised Vladimir Putin for honoring a limited pause in strikes, a stance critics said sounded unusually sympathetic to Moscow's narrative. Trump told reporters that Putin had kept his word by halting attacks on major Ukrainian cities and energy sites for 1 week, describing the Sunday-to-Sunday lull he requested as a meaningful, if brief, humanitarian pause in the war. His remarks landed just as President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of breaching the US-backed pause with fresh missile and drone barrages, warning that Moscow had not truly honored the spirit of the agreement. Zelensky pointed to heavy strikes on energy infrastructure, including in the Zaporizhzhia region, as evidence that Russia exploited the ceasefire window to stockpile missiles and then hit Ukraine harder, using the supposed pause as cover rather than a step toward peace.
Today we have been working all day after the Russian strike. Restoration is underway in all the regions that were hit by this strike. The strike was significant. The record for ballistics was 28 cruise missiles and 43 other missiles of different types, which hit the ballistic trajectories. This can be achieved only with systems like the Patriot. It was difficult to defend. Some missiles were hit, but not all of them. Unfortunately, there were also strikes on energy facilities. The Russians also used another 450 drones. A significant part of them were Shaheds. It was the most difficult after the strike in Kiev region, Kharkov region, in particular in the city of Lozova, as well as in the regions of central Ukraine. This is primarily in the Dnipro region, as well as in the Vinnytsia region and in the Chernivtsi region. There were strikes throughout the day, and now, in the evening, there are strikes again. Our forces are needed everywhere in order to recover. It is important that the officials help the regional and local authorities as much as possible with equipment and reserves. Each leader in place should be fast enough. There is no time to wait. We need to be as active as possible with our partners. All partners who can help with the support packages should receive all the necessary information. Today, Mark Rutte was in Ukraine. He is the General Secretary of NATO. Among other things, he also visited the wreck sites, destroyed by missiles. We agreed that Mark would help us so that the leaders would know what was going on and that Ukraine should be supported right now. This applies, in particular, to missiles of the PPO, missiles of the Patriots, because we see what tactics the Russians have chosen. They do not save the damage. We need new contributions from our partners to the PYOR program, which allows us to buy weapons in America. We have agreed with Mark which country should react and can help us as soon as possible. We expect the United States of America to react to the Russian strikes. This was a proposal of the United States, at the time of diplomacy and such a cold winter weather, to stop the strikes on energy. There was a request from the President of the United States. We see that Russia responded to this request with a record of ballistics. Less than 4 days have passed since the week when Russia was asked. This speaks about everything else that Russia promises or can promise. If their word does not hold up now, then what to expect next? They lied. And before this war, a full-scale war, Russia began, trying to deceive everyone around about its intentions and about Ukraine. And now, even in such details, in such agreements with America, again, Russian deception. They are not just in Moscow and want to take advantage of the cold, because they can't defeat us, Ukraine, with their assaults. Russia's bet on war must be answered by the world. The United States Congress has long been working on a new sanctions bill. It is important that there is movement on it. European partners, and we talk about this with President Macron and with Ursula von der Leyen, can take decisive steps against Russian oil tankers who earn money for the war. Europe needs the same strong opportunities that are now in America, not just to stop tankers, or not just to stop them, but to confiscate both tankers and oil. Please, Russia must feel the pressure so that they fulfill their partners' requests and really move in peace talks. For now, Ukraine is waiting for steps. Russia must take steps, and most importantly, stop aggression. Those who started the war should take steps to escalate and stop the war. If this does not happen, and until this happens, every Russian blow will hit, not just on our energy, not just on our cities and communities. At -20, every blow will hit. We are constantly under the blows of Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Dnipro, Kiev, Donetsk, and Kherson regions. Today, in Zaporizhia, a Russian drone hit 2 passers-by, just on the street. They were 18 years old. We feel the same. The war must be stopped. But if in the world, in America, in Europe, there is no power to stop the Russian blow, then who will believe? I want to thank everyone in Ukraine who is working, trying to make conditions easier for people. I thank each and every repair brigade. Thank you all. Thank you to all the energy companies, state-owned companies, which have joined. Railways also help. Naftagaz is forming an additional brigade. I thank you. Thank you. It is important that they work in a series of support programs. 17,800,000 Ukrainians have now used the winter support program. Programs have started that can support small businesses and FOBs at this time. This is, in particular, a program to service the purchase of generators and fuel. Only on the first day of this program, there are already 4,000 applications. We are scaling up the program with thermal packages, and in the coming days, in the regions where it is most difficult, we will distribute at least 30,000 such packages. Credits for the purchase of generators have also started at 0%. The program of support for the most vulnerable social groups has worked. 374,000 Ukrainians received assistance of 6,500 hryvnias. There will be other support programs. Today, this was discussed with Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko. Everyone should work as hard as possible to make this winter an extraordinary time for people and central authorities in regions, communities, and businesses. Of course, we take into account that partners will not be left out. We must protect life.
Ukraine, Mr. President, yesterday you were talking about how Vladimir Putin had agreed to a pause during the cold weather. Overnight those attacks have started up again.
I know. It was Sunday to Sunday, and it opened up, and he hit him hard last night. No, he agreed. He kept his word on that. It's a lot. 1 week is, we'll take anything because it's really, really cold over there. But it was on Sunday, and he went from Sunday to Sunday.
Are you disappointed he didn't go further?
Yeah, I would like to. I want him to end the war. I spoke to him. I want him to end the war.
Mr. President, what exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections? And which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is,